What is up, everybody? It's your boy, David. I just want to thank you for stopping by this channel and showing your support. This is part 2 of RETICELLO blank, so we're going to be taking our blank and turning it into some artwork, a bowl in this specific case. If you haven't seen part 1, I will leave a link in the description below. I highly recommend you check that out. But we have Trenton Quiocho and his assistant Jacob Willcox at the HIlltop Artist studio. Alright, so we're starting off with a coloring application. This is a transparent gray, almost a really dark black. Ooh, that was always so satisfying to watch. But we're snipping the color free from the handle, and then using even our diamond shears or our marvering table, we can continue to distribute the remaining amount of color. And although it looks black and red and orange, that's not the real color. Its true color will come back when the glass is cooled. We see the heat of the glass more than the actual color. And we're always taught to take our time with the coloring application, because if we rush, we can end up with different densities. Now, I've also pulled a little bit of the remaining color just to kind of give you an example of what it looks like when it's cooled. This will become a color band at the top of our bowl. And we just need a little bit more glass. So we're going to take another gather of hot material. And we noticed we also gathered some impurities, some air bubbles, so we can pull those right off and cut them. We then like to heal the scar that's left over. So using a propane, or a MAP gas I should say, it's about 2700 degrees Fahrenheit. With this bubble, we just opened the top of it and then made it flat. Now, it became my responsibility to keep this warm, as the team picked up the RETICELLO blank that's been sitting inside of the warming oven at about 1000 degrees Fahrenheit. Our next step is to join both of these bubbles together to make a single object. And whenever we join 2 or more bubbles together, we refer to it as an incamo. Incamo is an Italian word. And glass blowing in my area in the Pacific Northwest is highly influenced by Venetian style of glass working. For that reason, a lot of terminology, a lot of techniques are Italian. If you are interested in hearing the reasoning behind this, glass blowing is different all across the globe. Even here in the United States, different regions have a different style, but we're getting off topic, so we'll switch. But if you are interested, drop a sub, drop a like, and I can definitely make a video on why this is. No, you do you. But we just used a wooden block to condense the bubble. We're just ensuring that when we blow air, that our bubble will expand evenly and symmetrically. Now we're ready for another layer of hot glass to give us more material to work with. Our hot glass is kept inside of a furnace holding about 500 pounds of molten glass. It has the consistency of warm honey, so by dipping the rod inside of the crucible that's being heated up, we can then turn to collect a layer of this hot glass. When we've gathered a little bit too much, we can use gravity to help us eliminate some of the excess glass in what is called a strip gather. And a good rule of thumb is to always block the glass twice. I cannot stress this enough. It evens out the temperature and the mass around a distorted bubble. And the glass is constantly losing its heat due to the environment. So we're placing it inside of a reheating station. It's about 2300 degrees Fahrenheit. And the reheating station has an uneven heat. Usually the tip of the glass, the part that we're marvering right now, will always be the hottest, because the reheating station will always make that the hottest, because it's the first thing in and the last thing out. Another rule to take note is when we blow air, it takes the path of least resistance. So wherever it's hotter, usually that means the tip or the base will get hot and get thin. To counteract this, we're going to use our newspaper pad on the base while we blow, and we're essentially telling the bubble, do not blow out here, expand everywhere else where it is hotter. And to continue to do this, we can use a propane torch to continue to heat up that area, but we are also isolating a heat so we can separate the usable glass from the steel rod. And we're doing this by squeezing down our jacks, which is our multi-purpose tool in glass. It's one of the best ones. So many different ways we can use this tool, but its main purpose is to create a weak spot, which we refer to as a jack line.
No, I don't think so.
And when I say we're blowing air, we're using a surgical tubing that's attached to the blowpipe, and the opposite side is attached to a mouthpiece. And this is how we're inflating our objects. And this is actually quite unusual for something this complex. You usually don't use a blow hose, but because of COVID, we kind of have to use stuff like this. The next step is to transfer our bowl onto its next working rod. And this is called a punty. There has to be a lot of trust in the team because the punty will make and break this. Literally, make it or break it. It has to have the right heat, the right shape in order for it to work. Too hot and it will fuse permanently to the bottom. But if it's too cold, it won't adhere properly. And when we're pulling and tugging, which we will, it might just pop off. After a few seconds, we can even out the heat using a propane torch or just giving the punty a few extra seconds to stabilize. Then we use a few drops of water in our jack line area, and with a tap, the glass will release at its weakest point. And it's always a good habit to preheat your tweezers using the moil so it doesn't crack your glass later on, because a cold tool can shock the material. And every color in glass reacts differently to heat. Just like going outside wearing a white shirt or a black t-shirt, you absorb energies at different rates. And the same can be said with the black color. Black is a really soft color in glass. I hate using black for that reason. I've lost a lot of pieces. Kind of because I'm a scrub too, but but we're also papering the front to kind of just slowly and evenly open up our bowl so we can create more of a gentle curve. We also transitioned to using wooden jacks called partrophes. This will minimize any scars that are left on the interior. Using a wooden paddle and our jacks, we can finalize the shape of our piece. Although this artwork is nearly complete here in the hot shop, it is not complete. Artisan Trenton Quiocho will later incorporate Filipino-inspired objects. And I highly recommend checking out his website, where he has some images of what the work will look like when it's completed. But with a little bit of water on the punty and a tap, the glass will release at its weakest point. It's going to be placed inside of an annealer where it can cool down for the next 12 and a half hours to eliminate the stress that causes it to break. Thank you so much, everyone, for stopping by my channel. I hope you enjoyed today's content. I'll be leaving some additional information in the description below. Definitely check out Trenton Quiocho's website if you want to see an image of what this piece will look like when it's completed. Until next time, it's your boy, David. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. To my 10 subscribers, I got your back. I got you with more content. Hold my beer. Oh, and by the way, if you hear chickens in the background, it's because my chickens like to hang out in my studio.